Let's have a look at copper. So far, copper has been following this uptrending channel all the way since the beginning of the ongoing cycle, sometime near the middle of December. As long as copper stays above the 50-day moving average and this lower boundary of the uptrend channel, there is still a pretty good chance, I think, in copper for one more push higher to the upper range of this channel before coming down into the cycle low. Talking about the cycles, on average, since the middle of 2017, these cycles lasted for about 174 days. The shortest cycle lasted for 111 days and the longest for 243 days. So as you see, these cycles can stretch for quite a while in copper, especially coming out of this longer-term low at the pandemic drop. The previous cycle was quite short, only between mid-August and mid-December, so perhaps this cycle will last for at least the average 174 days or maybe slightly longer than that. With the average duration, that brings us to somewhere into second half of May or perhaps even into early June, which kind of agrees with seasonality and how it aligns with the cycles. Seasonality, as you see over here, that's for 2015-2022. Usually in March we do see copper decline, but that usually turns around into stronger copper prices sometime into late April. So seasonality doesn't contradict our expectation of one more bounce to the upper range of this uptrend channel before coming down into the cycle low sometime near the usual cycle duration, and that again agrees with the seasonality, which shows copper prices usually lower down into the second half of May and into mid-June. Another thing to mention on copper is I've noticed it often moves somewhat in line with the general stock market with S&P 500. So as the members at myfinanceteacher.org know, I do expect one more push higher in S&P 500 before the risks of the recession due to higher energy prices weigh more heavily on the stock market. So with one more push higher in the general stock market, expectations of another push higher in the copper before correction also seems pretty logical based on my experience and based on copper history. Lastly, looking at the optimism index in copper, usually, historically, good buying opportunities on copper come when this optimism index is close somewhere to around 30. And copper seems to be a little bit overheated when this optimism index is somewhere around 70. That's been the case pre-pandemic lows. But since the pandemic, since the trillions of dollars being printed, we see commodities shooting higher non-stop, and more recent behavior of the optimism index is that buying opportunities come when this optimism index drops somewhere just below 50 rather than all the way down to 30. Between mid-2020 and mid-2021, we've seen copper more than double in price, making very substantial gains. Since then, we've seen a bit of a consolidation lasting for over half a year, and it looks like copper wants to try a breakout over here from that mid-2021 highs. We've seen one attempt at a breakout already in early March, which was a bit of a fake out. We came back into this uptrending channel, and I think we're going to see a new test relatively soon, perhaps in the next few weeks. But given how late we are in the ongoing copper cycle, I think this upcoming breakout is not going to succeed in making substantially new highs before we see a bit of a correction down into the cycle low, which will provide a very nice buying opportunity later on. Although even up to now, for all of this while, we have been long copper, specifically copx, and we've already enjoyed quite nice gains. Coming back to the optimism index, we see that even during this consolidation in the second half of 2021, early 2022, copper price was overbought in the short term when this optimism index poked above this red line, somewhere closer to 70. At the moment it is at 60 and it hasn't poked above this red line over the last few weeks. So as I mentioned, I think there is a chance for one more push higher in copper before correction down into the cycle low and into the common seasonality lows closer to the middle of the year. For more details, join us at myfinanceteacher.org. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.